Hey guys, my name is Darwin Paulino, and today my project is going to be about Half of the Yellow Sun. Those of you who paid attention in class and actually read at home and did their work as well, like the questions, etc., that were recommended to do, will know about the story. If you didn't do it, well, you're probably going to be lost watching this video. This story is located in West Africa, Nigeria. Nigeria is a country that is being governed by rich Nigerians, which are being governed by British people. So most of the population of Nigeria is very poor. Usually it has to do with uneducated Nigerians who live in like villages and are very poor. So there's 5 protagonists in this story, which is Kayanin, Richard, Obdenigbo, Olana, and Ugu. All of them are very controversial. They have a lot of differences, and they have a couple of similarities. They all have major roles in the story. For example, Obdenigbo is Master. If in the beginning of the story he was known as Master by Ugu and Auntie. Obdenigbo grew up like Ugu. His whole village saved up to move him into college, blah blah blah. And Obdenigbo is a well-educated person. He's very well known for politics. He plays tennis. You know, he does lectures, etc. He's a very smart guy, and he has a doctoral in mathematics. Very smart. Very intelligent, if I'm going to use proper words. Ugu, on the other hand, grew up in the village, grew up believing in Adivia, believing that they can cast spells and kill people, etc. He moved into Master's home, being his houseboy, cleaning, cooking, etc. Which means that Ugu was very ignorant. He wasn't educated. He knew simple stuff. He knew how to read very poorly, but knew how to read. What else? When he stepped into Master's home of the Negro, he found the house alienated. That's what he said. It was different for him. He's not used to luxury. He's used to dirt, wood. He's not used to concrete, plants, and cars and all that stuff. He's not used to that. We realized that when he burned Obdenigbo's sock, he found that the sock was very, how do I say this, very important to Obdenigbo. He was like, oh my god, I just burned clothing, because Ugu is used to limited clothing. He's used to a limited amount of things, while Obdenigbo, he burnt a sock, he can go get another pair. Not a big deal, he's educated, he has a job, he makes money. Where Ugu's from, they're not very educated, they don't have jobs, and they have to work for everything. And they have to make their own clothing, most likely. Yeah, so that's pretty much Obdenigbo and Ugu, at the beginning of the story, Olana and Kayanin, they're sisters. Apparently there's something wrong with their bonding. No one really knows what happened in their childhood. Kayanin is quote unquote the ugly sister. She's more, as her father described her, she's more like a boy, or more of like a couple of boys put into one woman's body. Kayanin was very, very different. In my opinion, Kayanin was the wild card. Why? Very mysterious. Every time Kayanin stepped into a story, I feel like there was some type of suspense in the story. Like you would not expect what to hear next, what was going on next in the story. So it's just a lot about Kayanin. Really surprised me throughout the story. Olana Olana was very different. She was beautiful, as everyone called her. She was very beautiful, apparently. She was very kind, very hospitable. She didn't like to do. She didn't like all the luxury like her parents did. Her parents were very luxurious. They liked the bling. They liked the jewelry and all that stuff. All that good stuff. But Olana didn't mind driving with everybody else in a plane that isn't first class. She doesn't mind all of that. Olana likes helping. Olana likes to, help if she can. Kainen's more of a, I'm going to be honest, brutally honest, She likes to say it in your face. She's more of a, if I feel this type of way, I will tell you how I feel, but I won't be too kind about it, because she's just honest in that way. Olana, most likely, she holds it in until she breaks, and then she starts crying and etc. There was also Richard. Richard, very different. The reason why he's very important in the story is because Richard he's British. He's different. He's British. He's from the UK. He's from England. If I'm 100% for sure, I might be wrong. I'll go back and read it, but I might be wrong. He's British, and so for him to try to learn Igbo ways, because that's what he tried to do. He tried to learn Igbo ways. He tried to learn about the pots. He tried to learn so much about the culture. Try to learn the language. He wanted to be Igbo. He first off started writing. He was dating a woman named Susan, who was also sort of important in the story because she was like the stereotypical British woman at that time period. Very racist, really disliked African Nigerians, really disliked dark colored people. Why? We don't know the origin, but it's probably just because, that's how racism go. At that time, at the 1960s, we already know about the civil rights movement and etc. I want to get into that. There was also a couple of like Richard was supposed to write a book. His first book was burned because of something that happened between Olana and Richard. They had an affair. So Kainen burned the first book. The second book that he was writing, his houseboy Harrison buried the book because he didn't want the Vandals to destroy it or to find it and destroy it anyway. So he buried it, and when they went back to Nasuka, they never found the book. The book was gone. It wasn't gone, but they couldn't find where they buried it. He digged for it, couldn't find it, moved on. So while time progresses, there's a lot of jealousy between Nigerians because the Igbo land is becoming very prosperous with money, businesses, etc. Why? Because each of the Nigerians have their own special bonds with the British, but the Igbos took advantage and try to profit, which is a smart idea, in my opinion. You have to do what you have to do to profit, to move up. The rest of Nigeria didn't agree with that, so the rest of the Nigeria tried to destroy the Igbos. So if you lived anywhere outside of the Igbo land, the rest of the Nigerians would try to kill you or would try to send you back, etc. And so we would have giant amount of Igbo people coming back. Fine. So the Igbos try to become their own separate country from Nigeria and become Biafra, which years later, officially happened after a huge war that I will get into in a few. Let's see. We also have Madhu, who is one of probably how do I say this? Madhu is a sergeant in the military for Nigeria, or Biafra, and yes, from Biafra. I apologize. And he is a close family friend with Kainin and Olana, but Richard doesn't like that. Richard doesn't like that because he finds that Kainin and Madhu are really close. So he believes that they had something together. I apologize for that. My neck hurts. He believes that they had something together, that they were maybe dating, they were lovers. He asked Kainin about it, and she never answered him. So it leaves suspense in the story because we don't know what they were, but hypothetically I would believe he's probably a family friend who grew up with Kainin and Olana. He's probably around the same age as them. Hypothetically, I am assuming. But Richard never got that into his head. Later on, like almost at the end of the story, Madhu and Richard have a confrontation because Kainin disappears, and Richard asks Madhu if he ever touched her. And that's when part of Richard's racism side came out, and he slapped Madhu, and Madhu punched him, and Madhu, as a gentleman that he is, made sure that he didn't break his nose, and made sure that Richard was okay, and told him that he's an idiot, which means Madhu most likely didn't do anything. It's just Richard's insecurity that kind of, triggers that. Because, at this time, Richard is kind of going through so much with Kainin's lost, that she's gone and he can't find her. And then Madhu is there, and something about that kind of angers him. So, years later, Ugwu is educated. He went through school, all that stuff. Obdenigbo, he still has his little parties. Obdenigbo and Amala had an affair. Amala became pregnant, something that Obdenigbo and Olana tried to get, but Olana is most likely infertile because she went to one of the top hospitals, Kensington, in England, and they said that she was infertile, but for some reason she couldn't get pregnant. So Amala was pregnant. She was trying to lose the baby, so she ate peppers and all that, but it didn't work. So when she finally had the baby, it was a girl, and Obdenigbo's mother, and Amala did not want to keep the baby. Amala didn't want the baby, just for the simple fact that she didn't want the baby. Mother didn't want the baby because she didn't want a girl. Mother wanted a boy. Olana took the baby because it touched her. Not in any inappropriate way, but it touched her. She felt that she couldn't let this hopeless baby, live a hard life. She took the baby in. They never found the name for it. I will get into how they found the name for it, but it's not in the book. It's in the movie, which I will talk about it later on. So, how do I say this? Olana and Obdenigbo took the baby. Like I said, Obdenigbo cheated on Olana with Amala, which happened because mother gave him a drink. He got too drunk. He had an affair with Amala. He blames it on his mother, even though I believe that if you're drunk, you can still control your actions. It's not like you blacked out and Amala just took advantage. You were aware, she was aware, Why did Amala do it? I'm not for sure. I understand that Amala was, you know, how do I call this? Mother's like house girl sort of. But I just don't understand why she did it if she didn't want to have the child. It just, that part really doesn't make sense. I think she did it just, mother told her to do it just to get back at Olana. But Amala didn't expect to get pregnant. That's most likely what happened. Like I said, Richard and Olana had an affair because of Amala and Nigbo. You know, Olana tried to get back at, not try to get back at him, but she tried to make sure that she could feel like, I don't need a man to make me happy. I can do as I please. And she did. Was it the right thing to do it with Richard? Of course not. You're not supposed to do that to family, which is something that really, really hurt Kayanin, because that's her sister. So, like I said, Kayanin burned his book because of that. Because she said leaving would be too easy, which is something that really intrigued me, because it really made me think. Leaving is easy. Like, you get cheated on, you can leave. You have every right to leave. How could you have trust for a person that just did that to you? So it shows that Kayanin has an exceeding amount of confidence in the relationship and inside of her, and that even though that happened, she still trusts Richard. How do I think of this? It's just, if you didn't trust anyone, somebody, you would usually leave. Mostly a person like Kayanin, someone who would say things to your face, who said, did you fuck my sister? I apologize for the language. This was in the book. You know, someone who doesn't mind telling you how it is. She did it to her sister. She did it to her mother, her parents. Like, she will tell you in your face. No worries. And for her to stay with Richard after what happened, for her to talk to Olana after what happened, shows a lot about Kayanin. Shows that she is not as cold-hearted as most people think of her. She actually has a heart, and she's actually very considerate of all the things that are going on. As time proceeds, we see a side of different characters. For example, Ugu, we've seen this in the beginning, but not so much as we see it throughout the story. Ugu is very freaky, kinky at the same time. You know, he loves women a lot. He thinks about sexual encounters a lot. Something, I don't know, he just loves women. He thought about doing it with his, you know, stepsister or half sister, something like that. His cousin, Olana, Eberici, a whole bunch of women. Most of the women that he wanted to have sexual encounters, or he fascinated about, was because they had a very round bottom. Apparently, big round buttocks was something that they liked. I say buttocks because I'm not allowed to say anything else, because this is a school video. So he liked it that. He was very brilliant when it come to planning how to, very brilliant and ignorant. Because when it comes to planning of them doing something like this, when he was planning to have make love with Nanasachi because he was going back to his village. So he was trying to see how he can get a gas bomb, because he read about it, and was it gas bomb? It was gas bomb. It was a type of bomb that makes you unconscious, and it doesn't make you unconscious. It knocks you out. So he tried to get one so that he can use it on Nanasachi, knowing that he's smart. He was going to trick her into it, and she was going to agree, and then he was going to take advantage of her. Was kind of smart, you know. He actually thought about it. He asked the gardener. He said no because, you know, whatever. So you see a lot of parts with Ugu. Richard, you know, Richard learned Igbo. He learned a lot about the culture. He wrote another book, or started writing another book. Like I said, they buried that book and he never found it. So he wrote 2 books, or he was in process of writing them, and one of them were burned. by Kainen, and then Harrison buried one so that the Vandals don't destroy it or it isn't lost during the war. Obdenigbo, same thing as always. Olanna moves in with Obdenigbo officially. They take care of the baby, and this is when it gets interesting. This is when the story has its turning point. Like the climax just drops. The climax was like, for me, I believe the climax was the part before the war. Everything was still. Everything was happy. Everybody was alert. Everybody was the war will never start. Some people were like, yes, it will. Some people were not. Obdenigbo said it wasn't, but Obdenigbo said a lot of things wasn't going to happen, and a lot of things actually happened. So the story dramatically drops. This is when I officially start disliking the story. I actually liked the story. Like, I'm not going to say I dislike the story because of the way it happened. I just don't like the ending. This, hands down, Half of the Yellow Sun is a great book. And I am thankful that Mr. Winokur, my English 3 teacher, brought this book up. Very interesting, very detailed, very, very, very good. The story after the beginning of the war, you know, people were like, it's not going to start. It is. That's the climax. That's the top of the hill. And then that's when it drops. When the war starts, Obdenigbo, Olanna, Ugu, Baby, they have to move from the sukkah. And they move down to, if I believe, Abba. With ABBA, Abba, if I'm for sure. They move to Abba with Obdenigbo's mother. So they moved there, you know, they hear about the war, the Vandals took over Nasuka, they hear about the Vandals taking over Port Harcourt, that's where, Kainen and Richard are living, you know, so Olanna was very worried because Kainen was in Port Harcourt, but Kainen made it out safely, perfectly. Olanna's mother came to visit, and Olanna told her about her getting married with Obdenigbo. Obdenigbo's mother told Olanna that he should marry her, which was very surprising due to the fact that his mother called her a witch. She denounced her, she rejected her, and after all of this, she told her to marry her son. Why? That is one question I cannot answer because I am not for sure. My hypothesis is that she gave up. She sees that Obdenigbo is not going to leave Olanna no matter what. Obdenigbo is happy with Olanna, or seems to be happy, because we're not in detail with their life. We're in detail with some of the things that are going on in their life, you know. So he's happy and he's been with her for many years, and he's not going to give up on her. And I think that she sees that her son is happy, so she's like, marry him, make him the happiest man in the world, you know. So they got married. Her mother visited, she told her about it. Her mother moved to England, telling her that she has diamonds in her bra. She has a pocketbook filled with jewelry, and Kainen came to visit, gave her dresses and stuff for baby, and she moves. So as the story progresses in the war, we'll start with Ugu. Ugu falls in love with a girl named Eberici. You know, Eberici is a different girl. She lives right there from the village. In the village, you know, she makes her and Ugu, you know, help out. Eberici has a sad story because a man would have sex with her because her parents gave her up so that her brother, Eberici's brother, could go to the war and bring some wealth. Ugu did not like that, and he would get mad at Eberici even though it's not really her fault, she has no choice. It's like, I'm doing this to help my family, and if I say no, I'm not helping anyone, you know? Everybody's screwed. My mother and my dad and everybody, they can't get anything from this. Me doing this, everybody's, you know, getting some type of value, some type of, you know, wealth to eat and etc. You're in a war now. You're going to need to risk it all so that you can get to provide for the family. And a lot of things go down in the story. I apologize. It's just I have the flash hitting my eyes and it hurts. A lot of things go down in the story. So, Obdenigbo, you know, he starts drinking. Everything's going down south. Olana, you know, the rich girl, very kind hospital, is becoming very snappy, pushy, begging, something she never thought she would ever do, because she's rich. You come from wealth, a place where you can, when someone sees you, they respect you. Oh, your name's Olana? Here, take first class. You know, she would deny those, but she had access to so many things. And now she's at the point where she's begging for egg powder for her daughter, because her daughter, well, her stepdaughter or whatever, baby, wouldn't eat anything but that. You know, and it's painful. And she's really snappy. She snaps at Ubu for no reasons. And a lot of my classmates got really pissed and upset that Olana did this. Don't snap at Ubu. He's been here for a long time, tolerating a lot of bullshit. Oh my god, I just cursed. I apologize. Tolerating a lot of bull crap, and you're here snapping at him. He's going through the same things you are. You know, he's kind of used to this because, well, he's used to this. He's poor. He was poor. You know, but she snaps at him for everything. She snaps at Obdenigbo because, well, he's drinking. You know, he has this. Obdenigbo had another affair with Alice, a girl who pops up in the story randomly. No one really understands the point of Alice. No one really understands her. I think that I don't know. I think the point of Alice was that she was kind of like Miss Adebayo. She was not Igbo. She was from a different part. So everybody accused her for being a vandal, or a vandal, like a vandal spy or whatever. So she wasn't, but a lot of people thought of her like that. And you know, Obdenigbo and Alice had an affair. Olana figured that out when he saw Obdenigbo comfort Alice after a man comes to pick up Alice and tell her that her family is dead. Excuse me. So Olana sees the way he is caressing her, and it's like they're familiar with each other, like they've done something. So that's when Olana knows, but she has not asked him if he has touched Alice. So Ubu was about to join the war because they were going to take him. They were recruiting anyone they saw. They would just take. They wouldn't ask them like they would do in America. They would just take them. And the first time that happened, Olana saved him from being put into the army. I mean, into the, you know, Biafra military. The second time, he was walking with Eberici home. Baby was asleep, so he was like, "I'll walk you home." On his way, he had like halfway there, they caught him. You know, he met a little kid. I mean, he met a 13-year-old boy named High Tech, and they gave Ugu a nickname, Target Destroyer, because during one of the battles that they had, they were going against the Vandals, who overtook one of the cities, which Biafra overtook back again. And Ugu set up a bomb, and he destroyed a couple of men with the explosion. which the men are known as targets. So let me see. I apologize if the lighting has changed. It's that my phone is dying.